Okay, well, hello, buenas tardes, everybody. Can you guys see and hear me okay? All right, well, listen, I'm Profesor Cañedo, or Mr. Cañedo, or El Profesor, El Maestro, whichever term you wish to use, and I'll be with you guys for these next 8, or actually 7.5 weeks, since we had a really shortened first week of the session. So I'm really happy to be with you guys, to be your tour guide through the early stages of Mexican-American history. And what I want to do for you in this video is do a couple of things. First, I'll tell you a few things about myself, my background, my interests, things of that nature. And then the second half of the video, I'll go ahead and say a few quick things about the scope of the class. I'll go over some of the key points in the syllabus and a couple of the other items in the Blackboard course menu. There will be some other videos that I'll have for you in these next few weeks with more detailed descriptions about some of the various assignments. So, but for now, basically, this is just a quick overview about the class itself and about El Profesor and any other nuts and bolts things that I need to mention in this video. So, this video will probably be about 15, maybe 17 minutes. But I think it'll be a good introduction, a good panorama to what the class is all about, like I said, what El Profesor is all about. All right, well, a few quick things about myself. This class, the 141 class, this has been one of my standards for quite a long time. I've been at Southwestern off and on since the 97-98 school year, but I've been doing mostly the online classes since the fall of a 2010 semester, although I did do a on-campus section of the same class last year over at the National City HEC campus. Besides Southwestern, I've been at Mesa College for quite a long time. I do the Chicano Studies classes there. And I've also been at Grossmont for quite a long time. I do the United States history classes and also a few sections of the California history class. I'm a native of the South Bay, so I know Southwestern very, very well. For instance, I was a little guy. In fact, my dad, Oscar O. Cañedo, I'm actually Oscar R. Cañedo, so I'm not really a junior per se, but sometimes in the past, especially my dad's old friends and colleagues sometimes call me Oscar Jr., which is okay. It doesn't really bother me too much, but again, it's our middle names are different. That's why our middle initials are different. That's why I'm not technically a junior. But I was born and raised in the National City. Went to the whole elementary school, junior high, high school in the entire South Bay. I'm actually a Hilltop graduate, and then from there I stayed local. UCSD is where I have my bachelor's actually in anthropology, and then I got my master's in Latin American studies from San Diego State. And up until about 3 years ago, I was still a local South Bay guy, but I moved out of National City in the summer of 2012, and I'm actually up in Riverside County. I'm in a patch of Riverside County that's actually north of Temecula and east of Murrieta in an area called the French Valley. This area is actually pretty close to where Lake Skinner is located. So those of you who go into Hemet and maybe take the 79 from the 15, I'm right in that area, roughly about a third of the way from Temecula into Hemet, right off the 79. But since all my classes this semester are online, I don't have to worry too much about the commute. Sometimes when I have the on-campus classes, whether it was last year at Southwestern or was 2 years ago at Mesa College, then I had a bit of a commute. But thankfully, it was only one class per semester. The rest of the classes I've done for the last few years have been of the online variety. In terms of my teaching interests. This is one of my favorite classes. I enjoy covering Mesoamerica, especially the Aztecs, the Maya, the Toltecs. I want to see a lot of those guys in the next couple of weeks. And on into the U.S.-Mexico War, which I cover a lot in my Grossmont classes too. So that's one of my favorite topics that I love covering every semester. I also like examining events in Latin America, whether it comes to Latin American dictatorships, guerrilla movements. These were things that I spent a lot of time studying at San Diego State. and I'm also and modern United States history in terms of popular culture, especially the 1920s, the advertising, the popularity of people like Henry Ford, and also some of the music of the era, whether it was the early jazz, especially when people like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington came on the scene. So those are things I cover quite a bit in my Grossmont classes. In terms of hobbies or interests, first off, here at my house, I have quite a few fuzzy friends. I've got the three cats and one cocker spaniel, and two of the cats like to be outside, and one of the cats is a great Persian. She's taking a nap right now, but I'm sure in some of the other videos she might make an appearance. Um, as for sports, you can probably tell that I'm a hockey fan. This is for the Detroit Red Wings. So I go to Detroit almost every year, every other year. And when I do go, especially if it's in the fall or spring, I check out the Red Wings games. And in fact, I was out there a couple months ago, happened to see a couple of games against the Devils and the Lightning. I like baseball too, so I definitely like the Tigers. But I hate to admit that, and uh, since I've been out here in Versailles County for the past 2.5 years now, I've become more of a fan of a fan of the Dodgers. So a lot of my high school friends aren't too happy about that. They kind of give me a bit of a tough time. Football, I'm not really so much into football that much, but I do like the way the Lions play. So hopefully they'll have a pretty good season this coming fall. And in basketball. The Clippers are about the only team that I really watch, but for all intents and purposes, hockey is the big thing that I follow, and I'm definitely anxious to see what happens with the Stanley Cup, especially especially if maybe if the Ducks can sustain their momentum. And in terms of music, a fun thing to say about that. Since I'm a product of the 1980s, all that stuff from the 80s, especially the hard rock, the heavy metal, whether it was Judas Priest, Motley Crue, Rush, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Scorpions, Iron Maiden, all of that. I was a big fan of all that, and even the rock of the 1970s too, where there was things like Black Sabbath, early Aerosmith, Deep Purple, all of that. But over the past couple of years, I've also liked even more of the older classic stuff. So I mentioned some of the jazz musicians earlier. So the stuff from the late 40s into the 50s, early 60s, especially things like Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, and Miles Davis, especially. Those are things that I really enjoy listening to. Anything else to say about myself? No, I think that pretty much covers it for now, but as the semester, the session unfolds, I'm sure I'll say a few things about myself when I give you more of these videos, and also in the regular announcements. All right, enough about me. Let's go and talk a little bit about the class. Oh, one thing in terms of introductions. I'm going to start looking at your introductions real soon. So over the next few days into the second week, I'll be reading and replying to everybody. So if you want to reply to me, because more often than not, I'll ask some questions about your background, your interests. So please feel free to go ahead and reply to me after I read your introduction, and then I'll reply to it. But I'll start doing that pretty soon. So over the next few days, I'll definitely check in with everybody and see how you're all doing. All right, let's go and talk about a little bit more about the class right now. And to do that, I've actually got my MacBook Air here, so I've got the class queued up, and right now I've got the announcement section. So I'm going to have announcements on a regular basis. You can expect announcements at least 3 times a week, especially Mondays, Fridays, of course, and sometime during the middle part of the week. So any time from you might say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those will be like floating days in which an announcement is going to appear. But for sure, Mondays and Fridays for the next 7 weeks, those will be you can count on announcements up here telling you what's coming up in terms of due dates, main topics, maybe changes to the schedule, reminders about key things, when I'm opening up a quiz, all of that administrative stuff pertaining to the class. I'll mostly mention on the Mondays and Fridays announcements. But again, keep track of announcements, everybody. This way you won't get lost, or you'll know exactly what's happening over these next few weeks. All right. I'll talk a little bit about the syllabus in just a bit. Let me quickly go over a couple of the other items on the course menu. And let's see. Okay. Oh, weekly modules. I talked a little bit about the weekly modules in some of the early announcements from this first week. So weekly modules is of course where you're going to see many things in terms of the main readings for the week that are not from the textbooks. Oh, textbooks. Let me quickly go over that because that's really definitely important. I've had a lot of inquiries and questions about that. Definitely, you want to make sure you have Ancient Mexico, and and of course, this is the 10th edition. This book's been around for quite a while. I've used it for many years. Some of you asked about the 9th edition. It's got a different cover. It's got more of a black and red cover. You can use 9th edition. There hasn't been too many changes between what Professor Lathrop did in the 9th and 10th edition. So if you want to use 9th instead of the 10th, absolutely, that's no problem, no problem at all. But if you get your hands on the 10th, you can definitely sell this back at the end of the session. I'm going to keep using this from here on in, not just at Southwestern, but at Mesa College too. So take it over to Otay Books across the street. I think Sean, talk to Sean or any of the other guys at Otay. They'll help you out. Or if you're out in Kearney Mesa, then definitely go over to KB Books because my Mesa classes also use Ancient Mexico. So even though it's pricey, again, sell it back, get some money back. I'm not going to change Ancient Mexico anytime soon. All right. Now, the one book that I recommend, or I don't recommend you get an early edition, is Between the Conquests by my colleague and friend Mike Cornelis. Mike is also a Mesa College professor. Mike made a lot of changes between the 4th and 5th editions. So if you have the 4th edition, you're going to be a little bit of trouble when it comes to the quizzes. So I don't recommend, or in fact, I highly discourage that you obtain the 4th edition. In other words, don't do that. Get the 5th edition, even though it is a bit pricey. Again, I'm going to keep using this too, so sell it back at the end of the session. Take it over to Sean and the guys at Otay Books, or take it over to KB Books by Mesa College, right across from Kearney High School, and they'll roll it over for future sessions of this class, and also my Mesa College classes, the 141A classes. But if any of you are having trouble with the books in terms of finding it, financing, things of that nature, please let me know. Get in contact with me, and I'll see what I can do to give you some other options or alternatives. The best way to contact me right off the bat is from now on, start using Message for Professor in the Blackboard section. Of course, many of you have been writing to me in my Southwestern email. That's absolutely fine. But from now on, get into the habit of using Messages for Professor. This way, all your communications are within Blackboard itself. It's much easier for me to check in with you when your message is in Blackboard instead of going to my Southwestern email. So again, get into the habit of that. It's really easy to use. Just go into Message for Professor, find my name from the list of people in the class, click a couple of buttons, click the arrow to move my name into the recipient field, write your message, click submit, blah blah blah, and then my message is going to come to me. So again, from now on, everybody, use Messages for Professor for the rest of the session, and that'll be a surefire way in which you'll hear back from me. In terms of my policy of replying to everybody during the regular school week, Monday through Friday, I'll get back to you within a 24-hour time frame. Mornings is when I tend to reply mainly to messages. So if you write to me on, say, a Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m., don't get mad if I don't write back to you by 9 or 10 p.m. That night, but the following morning by between 8 and 10 a.m., I'll be writing back to you. So again, expect within a 24-hour period in the regular school week, and during the weekends, about a 48-hour time frame. So I've got them in the syllabus, so I'm just reaffirming that right here for you right now. Okay, but again, modules is where you see all the readings in PDF, PowerPoint, the links to films, the links to articles. So the modules have multiple pages, most of them especially toward the end of the session. Flip through each page, read the module, the overview essays at the beginning. That tells you what's happening in terms of the readings and the main order in which you should follow in terms of how to put everything together. So if you follow the format that I have for you in terms of the best path to follow to approach the readings, you should have no trouble going along with what's going on. So page 1 is always the overview essay, and then the subsequent pages have the links to articles, and all the articles in the PDF format are within the modules. Some of you have had questions about where to find that. It's in the modules themselves. There are links that are attached at the very top of the page. So just download all of those items, whether it's the PDF files or the PowerPoint files. Just put them all into your computer, your hard drive, or store them in your mobile devices, especially if you have the iPads with more of the memory. And then as you're going through the overview essays in terms of the order of the readings, then just read each item or file that you downloaded from the module itself. And also too, some of the module pages, of course, have the links to the films. Some of the films are embedded in the module pages. Some of them take you to the video section in the class, and some of them take you to Films on Demand, the database, the film database that's in the Southwestern Library. So just look at each module carefully to determine where each film is located. But at the beginning of each week, once the readings start, once the week starts, I'll explain exactly what's happening in terms of the film, and if I need to give you any further directions on how to see the film, especially if it's a Films on Demand item from the Southwestern LRC databases, I'll let you know. But for all intents and purposes, each module, especially the overview essays, tells you exactly what you need to do as you go through each and every module. Again, some modules have more pages than others, so when we get to the end of the session, many of those modules have go upwards of about 4 to 5 pages. So just be aware of that as we get more and more into the heart of the session. Okay, all right. That was about the main thing I wanted to mention in terms of what was in the course menu. So let me go ahead right now and quickly open up the syllabus right here on my MacBook here, and it's loading up. So let me go ahead and quickly go over some of the main points. And again, I'll have more specific videos on many of these items over the next few weeks. All right. Okay. First part of the syllabus, of course, just goes over with the parameters of the class. So we're looking at virtually everything from the beginning of time in terms of the early cultures of Mesoamerica onto the Maya, the Olmecs, and of course the Toltecs, and the Aztecs, the arrival of the Europeans, the Spaniards, Cortes, Pizarro, all those wacky guys, and then finishing off in the 1850s when the you might say the early stages of what makes a Mexican American, that is the political aftermath of the U.S.-Mexico War. That's where the class wraps up. We are going to have quite a bit of coverage of U.S. history items too. So even though these items maybe are more geared toward what my U.S. colleagues would tend to focus in on, I do think there is an important connection between U.S., that is, you might say, mainstream U.S. topics and Chicano topics. So when we get more and more into the second half of the session, I think you'll begin to understand why there is this connection, that is, this meshing, this continuity between Chicano topics, Mexican American topics, and mainstream of the U.S. topics. But more about that when we get into the second half of the session. Okay, assessments. These are the quizzes. There's going to be 7 quizzes in the course of the session. The first quiz is going to start after the end of the second week, so that'll put us about the 30th. So the weekend starting the 30th, that's when the first quiz kicks in. Each quiz will cover what we did the previous week, and of the 7 quizzes, it's your best 6, which will make up. And let me take a look at the numbers here. 30% of your total grade. So again, if you have 7 quizzes, maybe you've got 6 scores in the 90s and 1 score in the 70s. The 70 gets tossed out. It's the average of what you did on your best 6, which makes up 30%. Each quiz has 30 questions, but I wanted to get the numbers close to 100. I can't do it, of course, with 30. The closest I could get was 99.9. But that's pretty close to 100. So if your average of 6 quizzes is, say, 92.7, that 92.7, 30% times that, it's the points of that which I'm going to put into the total calculation. We'll talk more about the grade in just a bit here. Okay. I'm not going to go over too much detail in terms of the main writing assignments, so you can look over that in more detail. But you've got 3 main writing assignments you have to turn into me. That is in Microsoft Word format, that's docx, Apple Pages, or PDF format. Either of those formats is fine. So You've got an EBSCO article review. I'll have a video about that within the next week or so. You've got a book review topic, so choose a book that fits in with the context of the class, especially things about Mesoamerica, the Aztecs, the Maya, Cortes, Spanish colonialism, and of course the U.S.-Mexico War, anything within that range and beyond, so to speak. Just choose a topic to your liking and submit a review about your topic. And then we have something called the U.S.-Mexico PBS article review, in which you go to the PBS website, which has a link to a program about the war, which came out in 1998, and there's various articles. Choose 3 articles, do a combined summary and commentary about those articles. I'll have more details about this in the next few weeks, but that's the third of the writing assignments, and of course all the due dates and parameters are already located, not only in the syllabus, but of course in the assignment section. So remember, in the assignment section, you've got assignment worksheets, which tells you exactly what you need to do for each writing assignment. Now, the other assignment, which isn't technically a writing assignment, but you do have to do a little bit of writing, is the Chicano Time Traveler Journal. I'm going to have a separate video for you about that midway through the second week. So within a week from now, I'll have a video about that. What you do is 4 points during the session. You pretend that you're back in time in Chicano Mexican American history. That is, maybe you could be with Cortes as they're making their way toward Tenochtitlan, or maybe you could be a Maya king and you're talking about the construction of temples dedicated to you, or you could be a soldier with General Santa Anna's army as you're marching your way to face off against General Taylor in the Battle of Buena Vista. So basically, you're to transport yourselves at 4 points in time during the course of the session, and essentially pretend that you're an eyewitness, that you're there at a key event in Chicano history, or you're reporting there, that is, or maybe you're interviewing somebody. So use your imagination, be creative. Again, I'll have more details about the assignment in just a few days. Actually, I'll have a separate video about that. But you're going to write this in the journal section. So there's a separate section in Blackboard called the Chicano Time Traveler section. You're going to write in the journal area. So don't send me files. Don't send me items in docx or PDF format. No, don't do that. Only do that for the book review, the U.S.-Mexico War PBS paper, and also for the EBSCO assignment. So those 3 things, you send me papers, you send me files, but for the Chicano Time Traveler, you write your answers directly into Blackboard in the journal section. Okay, participation. I'm splitting the class into two big groups. So depending on where you are in the alphabet, I've already determined who's in which group already. So for example, everybody from A through H, you're in group 1. Everybody from I to Z, your last names, you're in group 2. I'm going to have more details about that in terms of what you need to do. I'm going to have detailed instructions within the next couple days. So before Monday of the second week, I'll have detailed instructions telling you exactly what you need to do. So don't worry too much about that just yet. I'll get that to you in terms of written instructions, and on Monday, in Monday's announcement, I'll have a lot more details in terms of what you need to do. So stay tuned for that. Okay, the rest of the syllabus talks about administrative stuff. So disability DSS. If any of you are with DSS, Disabled Student Service, and need some extra assistance, let me know immediately, and I'll get some accommodations for you. We have information about plagiarism, of course, something I have to mention here. Academic Success Center, so anybody needing academic assistance, please check with the resources on campus. There's some excellent people there who can help you out, and I've got the information there. If you need names or more numbers about that, definitely check with me on that. The grading structure, this is the last thing I'll say about this, and then I'll wrap up this video. I'm going to be using what's called a weighted total for your grades. That means don't add up all your points on Blackboard. So if you're don't make the mistake of saying, well, I took these 7 quizzes. in 6 quizzes, I got 90 points. So 6 times 90 is 540. So I've got 540 points toward my quizzes, and then I got 94 points on my journal. So 540 times 90 times all this other stuff. Well, you get the idea. So I should have about 1,800 points, and that should be a no, don't do that. What I mean by weighted total is that I take the percentage by the points that each item is worth. So, for example, let's say on the journals, let's say you got 90 points on the Chicano Time Travel journals, but the journals make up 10% of your class grade. So instead of 90 points, it's only going to be 9 points because 10% of 90 is 9. That same formula I do for the other things in the class. So what that means is that your grand total, what I use to determine your grades, will be on the scale of 100. So in other words, I'm looking more at a number which could say more like 85, 87, 91, 92. That's what I use to determine your grade, not your total raw points. So don't make the mistake, everybody. Every semester, and I had a few people in my gross mark classes who made this mistake, and they got pretty upset with me. But I explained to them, no, remember what I said at the beginning of the semester. They look back and then they're, oh, you're right, Professor. I'm sorry, sorry about that. So please don't make the mistake, everybody. Don't add up all your points. It's weighted total, and I'll explain more about the percentages and the scale on the weighted totals toward the session. But I mentioned in syllabus, I just definitely wanted to reiterate that here. Okay, well, let me go ahead and stop this video right here because I definitely went a little bit longer than anticipated, but I had a feeling this would happen. But I hope this video gave you a sense of what this class is all about, and I'll have more videos to explain some of the other things as we press forward during this session. So that's it from me. That's it from El Profesor. I've got some old videos already from previous semesters in which I talk a little bit about some of the various readings and the articles. So you're more than welcome to look at those videos. That's in the Los Videos del Profesor section. I'll put some new videos in there, but for the most part, all new videos I have for you this session will be located within the announcements section, just like this one is right now. All right, well, that's it from here. That's it from my French Valley home office headquarters, world headquarters, much like the Ford Motor Company has in Dearborn, the Ford World headquarters. Again, I'm looking forward to being with you guys for these next 7 weeks, actually. And any questions or concerns, use message for Professor to contact me. And I look forward to reading all your introductions and getting to know you on a virtual sense over these next few weeks. So that's it from here. You guys take it easy, and I'll talk to you guys again very soon. And enjoy the rest of the weekend.